This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. This is Central Texas Life with Ann Harder.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Central Texas Life, and what a joy it is to sit down with Waco Police Chief Sheryl Victorian. It's been 3 years since we had the chance to do this.
It has been.
You had just been on the job a few months.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, here we are 3 years
Here
later.
we go.
It seems like yesterday, and yet, I see you around a lot. I mean, we haven't done this in 3 years,
Right.
but seems like just about every public event
Yes, ma'am.
you're there, and you have just embraced this community, and I appreciate that so much about you and your service.
Well, thank you.
With Waco Police.
It's been a joy. People have been extremely welcoming. This is my home now,
Okay.
and so I'm having a great time.
Well, yeah, because you were kind of in Houston for a while.
Yes, just most of my
just
life.
just for a few decades, but
Yes, ma'am.
but when you came, what surprised you? I mean, we could look back for 3 years, and did you have challenges that surprised you? Maybe rewards that have surprised you?
It has been surprisingly rewarding.
Good.
The pace, not to mention the traffic, and just the city
Well, yeah.
in general, attitudes, it's been pleasantly surprising. And I haven't had very many challenges, thank God. But
I know.
but it's just been a great experience so far, and I still feel like I'm in the honeymoon phase, to be honest with
Do
you.
you really?
I really do.
Well, I mean, it's the kind of, I can't even imagine what your job is like on a day-to-day basis. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, when you go in, and are you mostly dealing with people and their problems, as I kind of feel like administrators do? Or,
Well-
are you, involved in investigations or what,
No, typically when things become challenging at our first line level or at our executive level, it comes to me. I'm not out on the street patrolling in a vehicle. I don't have any cases assigned to me. However, every internal affairs division case that comes through our department comes across my desk for me to make the final decision. I'm at meetings, I'm at community events, just making sure we have the resources we need for our department, making sure we're building that internal culture that we should have, and building those relationships outside of the police department that we should have. And yeah, typically that is what I'm doing each and every day.
Yeah, I had the chance to hear you at a mentoring conference,
Yes,
and you remember that was another one of the aspects of the Leading Waco Women
Yes.
project out of the Waco Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce, and I was so struck by how much time you invest in people that work for you. I
Ma'am.
guess.
Yes, ma'am.
And what does that mean both to them and to yourself?
It is just very rewarding to be able to prepare people to take my spot. You know what I'm saying? Or to be in executive positions, or to kind of help them navigate where they are as they promote through the police ranks, right? Helping with personal, professional challenges that they may have. But it's very rewarding. And I think that for them, just being able to have somebody that they could come to and trust and get the feedback, get honest feedback, but in a loving way without being judged, that it helps. And it helps to build character, strength, confidence, identifying weaknesses and strengths. So yeah, just being that trusted advisor for somebody, or I like to call it trusted advisors. And I learned out at a Leadership Waco luncheon, or being on somebody's personal board of directors. It's just
yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I love it.
I hadn't thought about it that way. But yeah, but it's got to be such a tremendous feeling when that person says, I've just been promoted, or, gotten that next big opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. Just being able to know that I had, even if it's a small part in some of the decision making that got them to that level, it's rewarding, and it's exciting for me. One of my passions is to make sure that we change the culture and the perceptions of policing. And if I can help develop somebody in that area to do the job that I'm doing somewhere else, then that's what I desire to do.
Yeah, I mean, because we across the country, defund the police, and it's got to just grieve you when you see this. And of course, I think in some of these places they figured out, oh, I think we do need the police. I think
Shouldn't
we
be
need the police.
defunding the police.
Maybe
right?
we shouldn't do that.
Right. Maybe we
Which-
should provide them with the resources.
Maybe
they
a little
need to
more
address-
resources.
Right.
So now you've had 3 years to work with the city council and all those
Yes.
kinds of things. Are you at the staff you want? You want to see more? Where are we in the city of Waco?
So we have an authorized strength now of 295 officers, but we're right at about 272. So we are looking to continue to recruit, and our guys are working hard each and every day trying to identify people that will fit into the culture of our team and will be able to represent the profession of policing well. So day to day, we're out there hustling. I am at restaurants and getting good. When I get good service, I am recruiting. I don't care what you thought your major may be. It may turn to criminal justice by the time we leave that restaurant. So, I've been known to do that, just recruiting where I am, because I think each and every time that we put on our uniform, we are recruiting. And then when we identify qualities and individuals that we come in contact with on a day-to-day basis, that we may need to plant that seed about, have you ever thought about policing? We need somebody like you in our profession. So
Well, and they have to know that the leadership in the police department has their back.
yes.
I think another part of the challenge of a police officer, not to mention just split-second decisions that have to be made that are life or death, but, will they come back at me and charge me with, a crime or whatever? Right. I mean, those kind of things we're seeing.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure on police officers today when they see stuff like that. And like you said, yes, you have to have the backing of your executive team, but at the same time, the executive team needs to make sure that you're providing those officers with the training,
correct,
right, and the experience that they need to be able to make those split-second decisions, because we have a lot of power in our hands. So, but yes, when they're doing the right thing, you got to make sure that their executive staff is supportive.
Well, those officer cams too.
Yes.
The little body cameras.
Accountability. That's right.
Does everybody have one? No,
Everybody who interacts with the public does wear
Really?
a body-worn camera.
Okay, so it's it works both ways.
Yes,
though.
that's right. It works both ways,
Yeah.
exactly, and it helps us a lot. And when we receive complaints,
Because this is what
it's
happened.
right here, right? And there
Yeah.
have been times when I have offered citizens an opportunity to come in to see why no investigation will be conducted, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't remember exactly how they behaved in those
Right.
videos. So.
Well, and I think bottom line, what we taught our sons, if you are unfortunately stopped by a police, you say, yes, sir, and do exactly
That's right.
what he or she tells you to do.
That's right. And if there is an issue during that stop, the next day or later on that day, you go to a police station and you make a complaint. And my family knows this all too well. When you get in trouble or you get stopped, you never drop my name. You do what that police officer tells you to do.
Yeah,
And,
you don't know who I know.
You do not. Yes, right. Oh, my sister is. No.
Okay, so you've never been stopped
it.
for a moving violation?
Have I?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I absolutely have. It's so funny. I'm just so embarrassed to tell this story. But I have been stopped in Hewitt PD. God. So I was
They're
on
very
my
nice
way.
in Hewitt.
They are very nice, right? It was a Saturday. It was my first year here. I was on my way to Crime Prevention Summit, and I was going down this street. It was a Saturday morning, and I literally really was praying. I was saying my morning prayer on my way in, right? And there was an officer coming opposite of me, and then next thing you know, I look around, and he flips around, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, was I speeding?" Right? Because
That
it was
same
like,
feeling everyone has.
it was kind of neighborhood, but it wasn't really neighborhood. I didn't see a speed limit sign or whatever. So I pull over, right? I get my ID, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And he comes up, and he looks in the car, and he says, "Hi, Chief. Bye, Chief." And he walks up. I said, No. Come here. I said, "Was I speeding?" He said, "Yes, ma'am. It's 40. It's 30. You were going 40. I said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that," right? And so let me tell you what's the funny part is. I'm at a Leadership Waco, a leading Waco women's one of the events, right?
Right.
And this lady comes up to me. She's so cute, and she says, "Hey," she's like, "Chief, do you remember being stopped in Hewitt?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "That was my son." It was like she was excited, right? And I was like, she said he was so embarrassed. I said, "Why was he embarrassed? I was the one that was speeding. Can we take a picture?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am." It was so funny, right? But yeah, I have been stopped. But here's the lesson for me: I never get stopped in the same place. So if I messed up, every time I get on the street, oh no, I go 30 miles an
That's
hour.
right. This one's 30.
Pay attention. Pay
Yeah,
attention.
that's right.
But yes,
Woodway's like that too.
Yes. I have been stopped, but I don't drop names. I know you're a chief. I mean, I don't do that. If he would have wrote me a ticket, I would have.
That's
say,
right.
You
You go down to city.
That's right. Go pay
judge
your
and
ticket.
all,
Let
do
my
all
boss
that.
know.
Yeah. Well, when I worked at the television station, of course, we had police radios on all the time, and I was not speeding, but I had not put my seatbelt on. And this was many years ago. And, well, you're wearing a dress. You don't want a wrinkle. Anyway, I know. But by the time I got into the newsroom, they had heard the whole thing.
Oh, you
They'd heard the stop and calling in my name and all that. So, there's nothing can be secret.
But you look nice when you came in, right? You had no wrinkles, right?
That's right.
And thank God you didn't get into an accident.
But of course now cars will yell at you,
That's right.
to you.
If you don't have your seatbelt on.
If you don't have that seatbelt on. Oh, anyway. Well. You, though, and what I loved when we visited before, you're a playwright.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I really appreciate, I was sharing this with a friend here just a minute ago, that what I appreciate about you is how well-rounded you are as an individual. That you have a very high intensity job that deals with death and destruction, and kind of like we did in news. You have to have a balance and an outlet, and in your case, it's writing.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you have recently written another book. Tell me.
I have. I've written my first children's book. It's called The Me I See. It's about a young girl who didn't realize she could be a police officer. Then her class has a visitor on career day, and it's a female police officer. And they actually talk about some of the contributions of females in policing. And she asks the question at the beginning, do girls make good police officers? And then near the end, after they go through the scenarios in the book, the police officer calls up front and says, "Now, do you think girls can make good police officers?" And she said, "Yes." She said, "In fact, I'll be a good police officer." It's amazing. It's so cute. I can't wait until it's out.
Okay,
so very close.
Very close. Very close. You have just approved.
Yes.
So there's artwork in it, I presume.
Yes,
pictures.
absolutely.
It's a children's
cute
book.
Art. Yes. Yes.
What age are you kind of targeting?
Man, anywhere from kindergarten to fourth grade.
Okay.
I will extend it all the way to high school. I'm looking for some good women in policing.
That's right. You're always recruiting,
You know
right?
what I'm saying? They can read it to the other kids, right? But yes, ma'am.
Oh, and so the inspiration for that just came from your own life? I mean,
yes,
I guess.
Well, from my own life, and there's an initiative called 30 by 30. 30 by 30 is a national initiative for us to be able to get 30% females recruited into recruiting classes by the year 2030. We only represent about 12.5% of 18,000 police agencies across this country, and we're always talking about how we want our cities, our departments to be representative of our cities. Mm-hmm. Most of our cities are 50 or 51% women.
Yeah.
So why are we down to 12.5% females in policing, right? And then we're talking about police chiefs. We only represent about 3% of police chiefs.
Very small.
And so,
sorority.
yes, right. And so we are, I just want to encourage young girls to consider professions in policing and just advance women in policing. So.
Well, I've always kind of felt like work like this, though, is a calling. And I know we talked about this 3 years ago, but I want you to repeat the story about how you discovered that this was the kind of work you wanted to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't what you really thought you were going to do when you were
It wasn't, because
little.
I was afraid of police officers, if you remember. And it wasn't because my family had had any negative interactions with the police. I think somebody must have told me that one day, police officer's going to put you in jail if I'd done something wrong.
Do you do something wrong, they'll come and get you.
Yeah, they're going to come and get you, and they're going to put you in jail. And I remember my mom used to take me to the corner store. It wasn't a corner store. It was a neighborhood store. And there was a constable there, and she just wanted me to shake his hand, and I would fall out crying, embarrassing her.
Well, kind of like,
like
Santa
no,
Claus. You know,
yes.
some kids are afraid of Santa Claus. It might be the same kind of
good. That's
thing.
exactly how it was. And then it didn't help that a couple of years later, I had this mischievous neighbor who told me that the HPD helicopter, the Houston Police Department's helicopter, landed on our street, and they were looking for me. And so, yes,
Really?
yes. And my mom lived in a T intersection, and at the time, the helicopters were small. This was in the 1970s. So anyway, the helicopter, and it was reasonable for me at that age to think the helicopter landed. He was like, he was like, they asked for Sheryl, and they asked if she was a tourist. And I was like, I'm Sheryl, and I'm a tourist. And I didn't know the police didn't ask for your sign. But, I was 7 years old. And and then
Sheryl.
my dad passed at 9. So for about 2 years, we ran from the helicopter. Every time we would hear those blades, because my mom lived in the path of the flight path of the Houston Police Department's landing. And so every time we would hear the blades of the helicopter, we would run behind car. We were hiding because we thought they were looking for me.
Oh.
And then when I turned 9, my dad died. He had a massive heart attack and passed away.
Sorry.
And yes, ma'am. And the motorcycle guys escorted us out of town. They were very compassionate, very empathetic. I kept my eyes on them, and as they were escorting us, people were pulling over on the side of the...
Sure,
so I was
showing
like,
respect.
man,
Yeah.
right. I was like, man, they're getting a lot of respect from people. They may not be that bad, and maybe they're not looking for me. And then when I turned 15, the show Miami Vice came out.
Ooh.
And I decided that I wanted to be an undercover police officer, and that laid the path. And as soon as I got out of college, went straight to the Houston Police Academy. So, and here I am. Got to work undercover for 11 and a half years, and that was pretty exciting. And so.
Well, and there were women, though, in those roles, or were you
Yes.
pretty much a trailblazer? Who do you
No.
recall as being a real mentor to you?
In Houston, Department of 5,200 at the time, it's probably about
Oh my gosh.
5,500.
Yeah.
We had about 8% at that time when I got in of
Okay,
representation of women. So I saw females in some of these roles. And so it wasn't like, nope, there are no ladies, I'm going to go do this kind of thing. So there were some ladies that I looked up to that I saw in those roles, but the primary reason I wanted to promote to at least the rank of assistant chief was because I was in roll call one day, and there was a gentleman who came into roll call looking very important, had his stars on his shoulder, and did not engage really, right? And I asked one of my colleagues, I was like, who is this guy? And he was like, that's our assistant chief. We go up our chain of command. And I was a rookie police officer. I didn't know anything about chain. And I was like, he's rude. I said, man, he didn't speak. He didn't ask us how we're doing. But he's just standing over there looking important. And I was like, one day I'm going to promote to assistant chief, and I'm going to show people you can still have personality and do this job. Right? And that was my primary reason really for wanting to promote. And it wasn't until I began to mature in policing that I realized there were other reasons I wanted to promote to that level too. But initially that was why. I was like, what? You don't have to be that way as a leader in this profession.
No.
And so I tell people my entire career, hold me to it. If you ever see me change, you let me know. So.
Yeah, what was it you said the other day about, tell your face? What was it?
Fix your face.
Fix your face.
Know your place and run your race. Fix your face, yes. That was what I told one of the mentees at the Leadership Waco thing. My two mentors, I used to tell her all the time, girl, fix your face. Fix your face. And then somebody had to throw it back at me, and I had to fix my face. Yes, ma'am.
Well, because the world is watching.
That's right.
Is there anything about being a beat cop that you miss?
I do. Early on in my career, and I realized this is not the way now. I was running after the bad guys. I was having a lot of fun, and did not mind answering the calls, doing the reports, putting people in jail. That's what I like to do. But as I matured, I realized I can't really arrest my way out of everything. But it was just a lot of fun. Every day on patrol is a different day. It's not like you hang up what you do at the end of the day, and then tomorrow you pick that back up. Every call is a different call. Every location you go to, every traffic stop is a different. There's nothing routine about a traffic stop.
Mm-hmm.
And that was exciting back in the 1900s and 90s when I was a younger
In
cop.
the olden days.
In the olden days when I was a younger police
But
officer.
still, I'm just struck by the danger of that. You know, when you walk up to that door, you don't know what.
You never know what you're going to get, right? That's why it's so important. That's why I say training, and we're talking about our dispatchers and their training and
Yes.
asking the right questions.
Right.
When you have people on the phone, knowing your surroundings when you do get to scenes, right? And watching people, not just the persons that you think you're about to come in contact with, but everybody around you. And yeah, it can be dangerous at times, but it's incredibly rewarding.
Well, and when we would hear officer involved shooting, I mean, the newsroom came to a stop because, so I just can't imagine what you go through when you hear that or hear an officer has been injured
Right.
on
So
the job.
those are the phone calls that we don't like to get. And anytime my phone rings after hours or later in the evening, and I see that, that's the first thing you worry about, right?
Yeah.
But we live in a community that's absolutely awesome, that stands in the gap for us all the time, and they always ask, "What do you want? What do you want us praying for? What do you want?" And it's the safety of my team.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and so those are the calls that we don't want to ever get. That your officer has been involved in a shooting, that someone has died as a result of that shooting, right? Justifiable or not, that's still somebody's child or somebody's brother, somebody's mother, somebody's father. But our officers being injured, whether it's in a car crash or injured by a suspect, those are the calls that
on the side, stopped on the side of the road, whatever, you know, those.
Right, and being hit by a drunk driver or something.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you are a woman of strong faith, though.
yes, ma'am.
And I think back, it was a couple of years ago, almost 3 years ago now, maybe. We were both at an event for the teen leadership.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
And do you remember the young man who got up and he was their leader of the group, you know, and it was kind of like a little valedictorian speech, and he just. Man, he started preaching.
Yes,
do you remember?
I remember that.
I mean,
I
he
think
was
all of us,
he was so bold in
Yes,
his
he was.
faith in talking about servant leadership, and I
Yes,
looked
he
at you,
was.
and you were daubing your eye. And I went, I love this woman.
Look,
I
am-
just, because you were as moved as
Yes,
I was
yes, ma'am.
with, and I don't remember this kid's name.
I don't
mean,
either. I don't
but
even remember
I said,
the event really, but I do remember
was-
that. He was very, very, very confident in his faith and bold in his faith.
Very
I
bold.
remember that.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
good. But yeah, so I'm an emotional chief, right?
Yes,
don't
you
think
are.
Because I show emotion. I don't know how to handle my business though, but I'm just real. You have to be authentic and vulnerable. I cannot pretend to be one way at work.
Right. Right.
And then, go home and be somebody else. I have to be my authentic self the whole time.
Well, everything he said was so spot on,
Yeah,
though,
it was.
about servant leadership. So
Yes.
let's, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, servant leadership to me, it means just taking care of my people and making sure that even when I have to give them corrective action or discipline, that they can maintain their dignity and respect, that I lead by example. When I'm talking about relational policing and being transparent, respectful, engaging, building emotional capital and accountability, that I'm living that just as I expect them to live that, right? We had our Christmas party today, getting on the other side of the table and serving,
Yeah.
fajitas or whatever, right? And just being accessible and holding myself accountable just as I hold them accountable, and making sure I'm doing stuff to be able to lift them up to the place that I know that they can be, even sometimes when they don't realize that they can be it, right? But yeah, just setting an example. And
Yeah, we're looking to a new year, another
Yes,
new
ma'am.
year. So what do you see? What are your hopes, ambitions for the coming year?
That we continue to go in the right direction with crime. Crime is the lowest it's been since accurately recorded in 1993, which is
Awesome.
incredible. That we continue to get the training and the resources that we need for our team, and that we're able to recruit and get to that 295. So, we can justify having more officers, right? But just the continual safety of our city, the collaborations that we've formed, and just building up our team and commending them for a job well done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, you are an inspiration to me, and I'm just always so happy to be in your presence anytime we get a chance to visit. And if you recall, I had a little questionnaire that I asked you, and often I'll go back and watch the podcast and write down what you. I did not do that, so
That's
I won't
okay.
remember what you said before to the answers either.
Okay.
Except for one. I think I got the right one for the end. But
Let me see.
but what is your favorite word?
Oh, my favorite word? Oh, I don't know. What do I say a lot? I don't really know. And I say a lot of things. Bless your heart. I
Okay,
don't
well,
know.
that's good. That's
I
good.
don't
But
know.
that could sometimes that could be a negative too.
I
That'd
know,
be,
right?
Bless your heart.
Right?
Depends on
I'm
how you
gonna
say
have
it.
to come back to that one. I don't know what I say a
Well, do you
lot.
have a word you don't like? A least favorite word?
A least favorite word. I do. Just a word. Man, these are tough. I don't know. I was doing well the whole interview, and now you're asking me tough questions.
And this is a retest.
I know. Did you ask me these before?
The same
I
question.
do not even remember.
I'll have to go back and re-listen to what you
Yes,
said before.
me too.
Okay, so here's the next question.
Okay.
What turns you on spiritually, emotionally, or creatively?
Oh, what turns me on spiritually is when I get that confirmation from God about something that either I've been praying about or something that I'm going through.
Yeah.
When He sends me that confirmation and I go, it's nothing but God.
There it is.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Creatively, the ocean, being on the water, whether it's on a cruise, whether it's on vacation.
You do like to travel.
I do. Those creative juices come in, and I jot stuff down. So yeah.
What turns you off then spiritually or emotionally or creatively?
What turns me off are people who are hypocrites about the word. You say one thing and then you're doing something else.
Yeah.
So
Okay. What sound do you love the most?
sound. I love music, and I would say at night it's probably my ceiling fan.
Yeah, you're
I'm
just winding down and you hear that
yes,
familiar.
That's the only noise that I
sound,
need,
yeah.
and anything else that I
Yeah,
hear,
that's
I'm
good. I've never
jumping,
heard that
so
before, and I've asked
I'm
this of a
just
lot of people.
saying.
What is your least favorite sound?
Anything buzzing in my ear.
Okay.
Mosquitoes, flies.
Ooh,
you name
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Oh.
Can't stand it.
Yeah,
My
I
little
know.
brother used to annoy me by buzzing in my ear. And I'd punch him though, and he'd hit me back like this. I'd, Stop it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I have heard police sirens.
Yeah. Oh, no.
for
yeah, I
negative.
can
That's right.
get that. I understand
Yeah,
that.
right. You
Yes,
probably
ma'am.
you get that. Okay. Last question. What do you want to hear God say when you arrive at those pearly gates?
You did it, girl.
Yeah.
So proud of you.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what you said 3 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you are doing all things well, Cheryl. Thank you so much. Doctor, you have a terminal degree, as they say, and you're just such an outstanding example to us all here through the Waco Police Department and everything you're doing for the city of Waco. We thank you so much.
Thank you. It is my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
thank you for being with us for Central Texas Life. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Central Texas Life with Ann Harder is part of the Rogue Media family. Be sure to check out our other shows at roguemedianetwork.com. Please rate this show 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Join us again soon for more Central Texas Life with Ann Harder. This has been a Rogue Media Network production.